Hello Fleet, and welcome to episode 10 of Captain's Academy. Today I'm going to be making an episode on many of the essential controls in World of Warships. As I've noticed, quite a lot of people recently have been asking, how to do this and how to do that. So without much further ado, off we go. But of course, first things first, the absolute most basic controls that you will need in order to start moving and shooting. In order to get your ship moving, there's a couple of controls you have to know first of all. You press W to get your ship to move forward, S to move your ship back, A to turn your ship to the left, D to turn your ship to the right. The Q and the E keys allow you to lock your rudder to either direction, and that allows your ship to turn without having you to hold down the A and D keys. In order to start shooting, press Shift to enter the sniper view mode, and then use your mouse wheel up and down in order to move your camera up to a proper shooting position. If your mouse wheel happens to be broken, use the page up and down keys as they do similar things. Now to fire your guns, you click your left mouse button in order to fire one turret, double click your left mouse button in order to fire all turrets, and then if you want to fire all your turrets sequentially, just hold down the left mouse button. Next up, we'll deal with ammunition and torpedo selection. Well, in order to select HE ammunition, press 1. In order to select AP ammunition, press 2. And in order to select your torpedoes, press 3, assuming you have them. There are a couple of special things that you should keep in mind when you're selecting ammunition or trying to select your torpedoes. Now first let's deal with ammunition. Press 1 or 2 one time, and it selects that ammunition to be loaded after the current ammunition you have loaded is fired. Pressing 1 or 2 two times immediately forces an ammunition change. The first time you press 3, it will also present you with the default torpedo spread, which is the wide spread. Press 3 again to change it to a narrow torpedo spread. Quickly showing you this in actual battle, as you can see, if you press 1 or 2 one time, you select a little orange box on the ammunition that will be loaded after the current salvo is fired. If you want to change ammo immediately, you press it 2 times and you'll see how it immediately switches to another ammunition. Torpedoes, on the other hand, look like this. If you press 3 and you get the default spread, it's this nice big wide spread that you get. And if you fire torpedoes, if you look at them, they have this pretty big spread. Now, wide spreads have their use when you're, trying to hit like fast moving targets at close range and you're really hoping for the lucky hit. On the other hand, if you press 3 again, you get the narrow spread. And the narrow spread is really good when you're trying to hit, let's say, a large slow-moving battleship and you're trying to get maximum amounts of damage. In World of Warships, your secondary guns as well as your AA guns are controlled by the AI, but there's still some things you can do. For example, pressing P will allow you to turn off your secondary and AA guns. This is particularly useful for destroyers as they try to maintain stealth by not giving away their positions when their AA guns open up on aircraft. Control plus left mouse button will allow you to select priority targets for your secondary guns and your AA guns. You can choose 2, one surface target and one aerial target. P allows you to turn off and turn on your secondary and AA guns. As indicated here, there's an icon that shows you when your AA and secondaries are off. In order to set priority targets for your secondary and AA guns, hold down your control button and then move your mouse over the target and press your left mouse button, and you'll see a little indicator there showing you that you have set a priority target. The same works for aircraft as well. There is an autopilot system that is currently implemented into the game, where all you have to do is set a number of waypoints and your ship will navigate to them automatically. Now, battleships, cruisers, and destroyers auto-navigate in one particular way, where first you have to press M in order to bring up the mini-map, and then you click the left mouse button on the map in order to set a waypoint. To set multiple waypoints, you hold down the Shift button and click the map a few times. You can do it up to a maximum of 5 different waypoints. Carriers, on the other hand, do not require you to open a mini-map as their default view is an overhead view. And then everything else is exactly the same. Click on the screen to set one waypoint, Shift and click on the screen to set multiple waypoints. Now, one thing to remember is that if you just use the auto navigate feature on carriers, your ship only moves at half speed, so you still have to actually manually set what speed you want to go to. Now, for all ships, this is in common. If you want to change the waypoint, you can actually click on the actual waypoint themselves and drag them around, so you don't actually have to reset all 5 waypoints. So this is what auto navigation looks like for a battleship or a cruiser or destroyer. You've got the mini-map open, and then you hold down the Shift key and you click for 5 different waypoints. And when you look at it from the normal view, there it is, and your ship will just automatically navigate to those points. Carriers have a very similar auto navigate function, except they don't require a mini-map. You can just do it directly from the overhead view. Now you are allowed to change the waypoints by clicking on each individual little triangles that you see there and moving them around, as you can see that I'm doing right now. And not only that, but if you pay attention, the default speed that you get when you're auto-navigating a carrier is half speed. So if you want to navigate to the points faster, just increase speed. Now that we've actually brought up carriers, let me actually go over some of the carrier controls as well. In order to control your aircraft carrier, press the number 1 and then click around the map. The numbers 2 to 9 allow you to control your various aircraft squadrons. In order to launch planes, press F. In order to order the planes to come back, select the aircraft squadron and press F again and it'll come back. If you would like to control multiple squadrons at the same time, you can hold down the Shift key and also press the left mouse button on the plane icons, and it will allow you to actually form them into basically what is a group. You can also just simply drag a box around the planes while they're flying around. To protect your own planes and ships, just click on them with your left mouse button as long as you've designated a fighter. To attack enemy ships and planes, as long as you have the correct plane type selected, click on them with your left mouse button. Holding down the Alt key will bring up the manual drop reticule. Holding down the Alt key and clicking your left mouse button will execute a manual drop. For full instructions on how to do that, please check Captain's Academy episode number 1. Do note that dragging an approach point tab for planes that are using the auto attack function will allow you to select the direction the planes will attack from. So in game, this is what it will look like. If I want to select multiple squadrons, I would just hold down my shift key and I'm going to click both the pictures, and you can see that I'm able to control both squadrons as if they were one. I'm also able to just simply drag a box around them, as you'll see I'm doing here, and then that'll also grant me the same function. Also, if you want to see your planes from a close-up view, just press shift while you have the squadron selected. To guard a ship or escort some planes around, click on the friendly ship and plane and you'll see that icon pop up, and it means your fighter is going to guard them. When you're using the auto attack function, you're able to drag the approach tabs here, and as you can see, that allows me to change the angle at which I want my planes to approach the enemy ship from. Holding down the Alt key will bring up a manual drop reticle, and if you click your left mouse button, you're able to designate an actual manual attack, which, if you can master it, will be a lot more helpful as you're able to do a lot more damage. Finally, in World of Warships, there are actually a couple of other pretty useful controls and settings that they don't really tell you about. One of these is Control plus X, which allows you to lock your guns in a certain direction. This is super useful if you're playing a battleship and you want to turn your ship around, turn your turrets around at the same time, and keep your eyes on the enemy. Normally it's pretty hard, but if you use Control X, you can do it. And I'll show you what I mean in a video in a second here. Z provides you with a shell cam and a torpedo cam. Can be useful for long range shooting so you can see where your shells are landing, but I mean, come on, it's a shell cam. It's pretty cool to look at anyways. There is another thing called Designate Target for Allies, which is actually unbound by default, but if you can bind it, I'll show you what it does. It's actually a pretty cool function when you're working together with your team and you don't have TeamSpeak. And finally, Team Panels. While it's a pretty cool feature, just it's not on by default, so I'll show you where you can find that too. First up, using Control X to lock your guns to a certain bearing. So here, I'm trying to turn my ship around, and I want my guns to be turned around by the time I have completed my turn. So what I do is I aim in the other direction, I press Control X, and I see the little message that says weapon fixed on relative bearing. And while my ship is turning, my guns are turning without requiring me to aim in that direction. This allows me to actually focus on what's happening around me and to be more situationally aware. Press Z after shooting to get shell cam, which gives you something like this. It's just pretty cool to look at. Now, highlighting a target for your allies is by default not bound to any key. So you go into your control settings, there's this thing called Highlight Target for Allies. Pick a key, bind it, and then what you can do with it is that when you see an enemy target, you can click that key and it'll put this huge red arrow that says basically shoot here. Under Settings and Control tab, there's one more thing that's useful. Display Team Panels, which is there at the bottom left. Click it and you get Team Panels in your game. Well, that's all folks. Hopefully I've been able to cover the majority of controls that you'll need to know in order to play the game. If you have any additional questions about controls, please ask them in the comment section below and I'll try my absolute best to answer those questions for you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, have a fantastic day and I'll be looking forward to seeing you all on the high seas.